For many of us, ginger is just a fragrant addition to tea or a spice in dishes. But in reality, this root hides the true power of nature, which can revolutionize our approach to health. It masterfully combats joint inflammation, helps digestion work like clockwork, and even addresses delicate issues like urinary incontinence, surprising even those long familiar with folk medicine. Ginger acts as a shield against inflammation in the pelvic area. Today, we have a comprehensive video where we will thoroughly explore what exactly this beneficial product can do. I recommend watching until the end. It might just solve your problem. With you is Dr. Maria Nikolskaya, a therapist with 10 years of experience and a consultant for healthy aging. Let's figure out how to incorporate ginger into our daily lives so that it affects the entire body rather than just enhancing a drink. For centuries, this plant has served humanity as a universal healing remedy. In ancient Ayurveda, it was revered as Vishvapesaj, meaning a medicine for all ailments, capable of harmonizing body and spirit. In traditional Chinese medicine, ginger was used to awaken vital qi energy, helping the body recover from illness or fatigue. Ancient healers, from Hippocrates to Roman physicians, prescribed it to strengthen immunity and overall tone, believing it cleared stagnation in the blood and spirit. Today, we will delve specifically into ginger and its capabilities, and the title of our discussion is ambitious: Ginger Cures Almost Everything. Of course, one should not expect miracles like a complete cure for incurable stages of cancer or regeneration of lost organs, but this phrase holds a real truth about its impact. Most chronic ailments, from arthritis to blood pressure problems, stem from two main issues: persistent inflammation and impaired blood microcirculation. To understand this visually, imagine your body as a vast, living city where everything is interconnected. Chronic inflammation is like a hidden fire smoldering within, eroding joints, damaging blood vessel walls, and even affecting brain function, causing brain fog or chronic fatigue. And poor microcirculation is like broken roads and clogged canals. Beneficial substances, oxygen, and nutrients don't reach remote areas, while waste products accumulate, poisoning cells. As a result, the body weakens, and symptoms appear that we perceive as separate illnesses: morning knee pain, bloating after eating, or sudden urges to urinate. This is where ginger steps in as a true hero. It is both a peacemaker and a master builder. Its active compounds, such as gingerols and shogols, suppress inflammatory processes at the cellular level, blocking the production of substances that provoke swelling and pain, as if extinguishing that very internal fire. At the same time, ginger dilates small blood vessels, improving blood and lymph flow, restoring these roads in the body. Now oxygen circulates freely and toxins are eliminated without delay. When these two mechanisms come into balance, amazing changes occur. Joints stop aching, especially after a long day on your feet. Digestion comes alive, getting rid of heaviness and heartburn, and energy returns, as if you've plugged in a new battery. And what particularly amazes many is that ginger genuinely helps with urinary incontinence, and this is not just old wives' tales, but a scientifically explainable effect. The fact is that inflammation and poor circulation often affect the pelvic floor muscles and the nerves controlling the bladder, causing spasms or loss of tone. Ginger strengthens these tissues indirectly by reducing inflammation in the area and improving nerve conductivity, leading to better control. people notice that urges become predictable and nighttime awakenings disappear. The power of ginger lies precisely in this multi-level effect. It doesn't treat symptoms individually, but corrects the root cause, making the body resistant to daily stresses. To experience this for yourself, start with something simple. Add fresh ginger to your food or drinks. We'll discuss dosages and combinations in more detail a little later to avoid an overdose and get the maximum benefit. The YouTube doctor's voice clearly pronounces the text of the videos with the correct intonation, taking sighs and pauses like a good announcer. Ginger acts as a real shield against inflammation, especially when it comes to delicate issues in the pelvic area. Imagine how it soothes the irritated lining of the bladder during cystitis. Those burning sensations that disrupt normal life gradually subside because the gingerols and shogals in the root block the production of substances that provoke this internal fire. And in prostatitis, when inflammation of the prostate gland manifests as constant aching pain and discomfort, ginger helps to relieve swelling and irritation, restoring the organ's natural calmness. This is not just symptom relief, but a profound impact on the root cause, where inflammatory processes cease to undermine health from within. But ginger doesn't stop there. It also masterfully improves blood circulation, directing a fresh flow of blood directly to the pelvic organs. As a result, the tissues of the pelvic floor, including important muscles and sphincters, receive more nutrients and oxygen, becoming stronger and more elastic. Remember how your legs get tired after a long day due to poor blood flow? It's the same here, but for the intimate area. Improved microcirculation helps muscles stay toned, preventing weakness that often leads to unpleasant surprises like incontinence. It's as if you were regularly working out these areas without resorting to complex exercises, simply by adding ginger to your diet. Add to this the mild antispasmodic effect. Ginger relaxes excessive muscle tension, relieving spasms of the overactive detrusor, the very bladder muscle that sometimes contracts too strongly and at the wrong moment. You feel relief when the body stops twitching from sudden urges and everything works more harmoniously. Furthermore, this root also takes care of the nervous system. Its neuroprotective effect protects the nerve fibers connecting the brain to the bladder from damage and stress. As a result, signals are transmitted more clearly, without interference, which is especially important if problems have accumulated due to age or chronic strain. Nerves strengthen and control over the body returns. Let's not forget about the impact on digestion, which ginger also addresses. It stimulates the production of digestive enzymes, relieving constipation and bloating, which put pressure on the bladder and exacerbate everything else. Imagine, instead of heaviness in your stomach after eating, you experience lightness and the pressure decreases, giving the bladder space for normal function. All of this adds up to a comprehensive effect, where each aspect supports the other, leading to overall balance in the body. Of course, such power is only manifested with the right approach. Simply throwing a piece into tea for flavor is not enough to awaken all these properties. Therefore, in our detailed guide, we will break everything down step by step so that you can use ginger truly effectively. We'll start with its basic mechanisms of action to understand how it affects the body at a cellular level. Then we will delve into its key qualities, anti-inflammatory and vasodilating effects, with examples of how gingerols interact with cells, suppressing inflammatory mediators and dilating blood vessels for better blood flow. In the next section, we will discuss how ginger supports the digestive and nervous systems, with real-life examples where these effects are particularly noticeable. And in the practical part, I will share a proven recipe for medicinal ginger tea, explain precise dosages for different situations, outline precautions to avoid overconsumption, and suggest simple ways to incorporate it into your daily routine, from a morning drink to adding it to dishes. As a result, ginger will cease to be just a spice on your shelf and will become a reliable ally in taking care of your health. Part 2 of 4, the anti-inflammatory and vascular giant. Glad you're back! We've already covered how ginger's main forces are focused on fighting inflammation and improving blood flow. And now let's dive deeper into these processes to make everything even clearer. Let's start with ginger and inflammation. It can safely be called a natural alternative to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs, as doctors call them. Unlike pills, which often hit the stomach or liver, ginger acts gently and naturally, interfering with the chain of inflammatory reactions at the molecular level. Gingerols, these active compounds, suppress enzymes like cyclooxygenase, which trigger the production of prostaglandins, the very culprits of pain and swelling. As a result, if you have, say, a flare-up of cystitis, ginger doesn't just mask the symptoms, but extinguishes the source, allowing the mucous membrane to recover without chemical intervention. Studies show that regular consumption of ginger extract reduces inflammation markers in the blood by 20 to 30%, which is comparable to the effect of ibuprofen, but without the side effects. And for prostatitis, this means less discomfort in everyday life. From sitting work to active recreation, the body simply feels lighter. When something hurts, we usually reach for pills like ibuprofen or diclofenac, those non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs that quickly relieve discomfort. They work by blocking COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes, responsible for producing prostaglandins, those very molecules that fuel inflammation in the body. The effect is noticeable, but if taken for a long time, problems arise. The stomach gets irritated, the kidneys get tired, and the heart works under strain. Now let's look at what science says about ginger in this regard. Its key compounds, gingerols in fresh root and shogols, which appear during drying or heating, also interfere with the same COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes. However, they do this much more gently and precisely, without such aggression towards the body. Moreover, ginger tackles another important inflammatory pathway. It suppresses the enzyme 5-lipoxygenase, which initiates the synthesis of leukotrienes, other inflammatory mediators. Most common pharmacy remedies don't do this, so ginger comes out ahead with a more complete arsenal of anti-inflammatory effects, covering different mechanisms at once. This directly helps the bladder by reducing the production of those harmful compounds that cause irritation. Imagine the bladder lining becoming less hypersensitive, the prostate gland tissues calming down, and the pain subsiding. False urges to use the toilet becoming less frequent, and overall well-being improving. And when it comes to joints, the same principle makes ginger a real savior for osteoarthritis. Studies conducted on groups of patients show that regular intake of ginger extract genuinely reduces pain and that stiffness that hinders movement, especially in the knees. People feel freer, and they can often reduce the dosage of their usual medications without losing effectiveness. Interestingly, by combating inflammation in the joints, you are essentially solving a similar problem for the bladder, as the mechanisms are common and ginger works on all fronts, strengthening the body as a whole. Now, let's discuss how ginger affects blood circulation and why it's called nature's warming gift. If you've ever brewed a strong ginger tea on a cold day, you've likely felt that pleasant warmth spreading through your body. This isn't just an illusion, it's real physiology at work. Gingerols and show-bowls dilate blood vessels by relaxing the smooth muscles in their walls, especially in the small peripheral capillaries. As a result, blood flows more easily, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to tissues. To better understand this, think of the plumbing system in an old house. If the pipes are narrowed or clogged, water barely trickles and everything operates at half capacity. Ginger, in this scenario, is like a skilled plumber who widens the passages, allowing the flow to become full and even. This is particularly valuable in the pelvic region, as improved blood flow helps the pelvic floor muscles remain strong and elastic, preventing issues like incontinence. Additionally, the warmth from ginger relaxes bladder spasms, making urination more comfortable, and even protects nerve endings from overload. In essence, it's like a quiet revolution in your vessels that keeps your entire body toned, and you feel more invigorated with every sip of such tea. Imagine how, over time, these delicate vessels in your body, like old water pipes, begin to narrow. Build up from inflammation and sudden muscle spasms block the way, making everything tight and uncomfortable. Ginger here acts as a true master plumber, not tearing or breaking anything, but gently and gradually widening these passages so that blood and fluids can flow smoothly and freely without any obstacles. This is especially noticeable in the bladder area, where such freedom of movement becomes a true salvation. Spasms weaken, pressure decreases, and you feel relief that lasts for hours, not just minutes. But let's delve deeper into why improving microcirculation in the pelvic organs is not just a pleasant bonus, but the real key to their long and healthy function. When blood flows here more intensely, it brings with it an ocean of oxygen and nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, which help the pelvic floor tissues and bladder walls regenerate at a cellular level. Imagine these tissues exhausted by inflammation or age-related changes suddenly receive a fresh surge of energy, regenerate faster, and become more elastic and stronger. And at the same time, all unnecessary waste products are removed, inflammatory byproducts, metabolic toxins, which previously stagnated and exacerbated problems. It's like cleaning a clogged filter. The system works cleaner, more efficiently, and the bladder begins to cope with loads without failures, without those sudden urges or incontinence that are so debilitating. And here's what's cool. This benefit isn't limited to one organ. Improved blood circulation is a wave that spreads throughout the body, affecting everything from your fingertips to your brain. For the brain, this means better neuron nourishment, which helps in dementia prevention. You know how in our pace of life, memory and concentration sometimes falter, especially after 40. Hands and feet that are always cold in the evenings warm up from the inside, as if you've put on warm socks, but without any chemicals. And the heart receives support. Ginger gently thins the blood, preventing it from thickening, and this is a natural protection against stagnation. Moreover, it has a moderate anti-platelet effect. It simply prevents platelets from clumping together like crumbs in dough, thereby reducing the risk of thrombosis in veins and arteries. Now, I hope you truly feel how deeply ginger penetrates to the very core. It doesn't just numb pain or alleviate surface symptoms like many pills, but goes deeper, correcting fundamental processes. Inflammation recedes at its root. The circulatory system is optimized, like a well-tuned transport network in a big city. Everything moves faster, cleaner, without traffic jams. But this is far from the entirety of its talents. Ginger has other facets that directly concern bladder health, influencing it through the digestive and nervous systems, and this is something that often remains in the shadows, although it changes the whole picture. In the third of 4 parts, we will dive into these aspects. We will see how ginger becomes a reliable guardian of the digestive and nervous systems and understand why this is so closely related to our main topic, combating incontinence. We already know that ginger is a tireless fighter against inflammation and a true accelerator of blood flow. Now, let's move on to 2 of its superpowers, which are often overlooked but play a key role in supporting the bladder and the entire pelvic floor. Let's start with digestion, because a healthy gut is the foundation of the entire body, and ginger is one of the most reliable allies here, worth adding to your diet. It doesn't just help digest food, it does so intelligently, preventing those minor malfunctions that later manifest elsewhere. Take, for example, the fight against constipation, a common ailment, especially for those who spend a lot of time sitting at computers or stuck in traffic jams, like us in our cities. Ginger gently stimulates intestinal peristalsis without irritation, like a light nudge that sets things in motion. The waves of contractions become regular, bowel movements normalize, and you get rid of that discomfort when your stomach bloats or everything feels stagnant. And do you know why this is important for the bladder? Because constipation puts pressure on the pelvic organs, causing additional strain on muscles and nerves, which provokes spasms and even incontinence. When the intestines work like clockwork, the pressure subsides, tissues relax, and the bladder gets a breather to function without overload. Plus, regular cleansing helps eliminate toxins that might otherwise accumulate and worsen inflammation in the pelvic region. In short, add ginger to your tea or dishes and feel how the chain of health is activated from your abdomen all the way down. Ginger initiates a true process in the digestive system, making it work like clockwork. It stimulates the secretion of digestive enzymes and bile, which speeds up food breakdown and prevents it from stagnating in the intestines. Imagine how these wave-like contractions, or peristalsis, come alive under the influence of ginger. They gently propel the contents forward, preventing blockages from forming. And constipation, as you know, creates real pressure in the abdomen, which is transmitted to the bladder, exacerbating all control problems. By eliminating these stagnant phenomena, ginger simply lifts this burden, allowing the pelvic organs to function more freely without unnecessary strain. We also shouldn't forget about bloating, which so often troubles us after meals. The YouTube doctor's voice clearly pronounces the text of the videos with the correct intonation, taking sighs and pauses like a good announcer. When bloating subsides, overall abdominal pressure decreases and the bladder gets a reprieve. This is particularly noticeable if you've tried ginger tea after a heavy meal. Relief comes quickly and you feel lighter, not inflated like a balloon. Another advantage of ginger is its effect on the microbiome, that entire ecosystem of bacteria in our gut. Active compounds like gingerols inhibit the growth of harmful microbes that cause imbalance and promote the growth of beneficial ones. As a result, a healthy microbiome acts as a shield. It reduces inflammation not only locally in the gut, but throughout the body. Reduced systemic inflammation means less irritation for nerves and tissues, including those responsible for the bladder. It's like clearing a garden of weeds. Beneficial plants flourish, and the entire system becomes stronger. Now let's move on to ginger's role as a nerve protector and antispasmodic. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress accumulated over years damage the delicate nerve fibers that coordinate bladder function. Without them, signals from the brain are received with interference, and control weakens. But gingerols in ginger are powerful antioxidants. They neutralize free radicals, protecting these nerves from destruction. As a result, the connection between the brain, spinal cord, and bladder becomes clear and reliable, like a well-tuned phone connection. And what about its antispasmodic effect? Ginger, like cardamom, relaxes smooth muscles not only in the intestines, but also in the bladder itself. This directly combats overactivity. Spasms subside, the bladder stops twitching, and you feel more in control, especially during stressful moments when nerves are on edge. To sum up, let's put all these pieces together into a single picture, and you'll understand why ginger seems like a true panacea. One humble plant tackles several fronts at once. It quells inflammation not only in the joints, where it burns like fire, but also in the bladder lining, where it causes irritation and weakness. It thins the blood and improves its flow in the legs, preventing swelling, and at the same time nourishes the pelvic tissues, making them more elastic and resilient. It normalizes digestion, relieving constipation and gas that put pressure on everything, and at the same time protects the nervous system from wear and tear, relieving spasms in key muscles. Ginger doesn't treat separately. It affects blood flow, nerves, immunity, and digestion simultaneously, eliminating the roots of problems that accumulate with age and lead to incontinence, arthritis, or even heart problems. It is this all-around effectiveness that makes it so potent. You don't swallow a bunch of pills, but simply add the root to tea or dishes, and the body itself begins to recover, step by step restoring balance. In Russian tradition, we have always valued such simple remedies, like ginger in a samovar or tea with honey, and for good reason, because they work on a deep level, without unnecessary chemicals. Now that we've covered the basics of how ginger works at a cellular level and why it's so effective against inflammation and imbalances in the body, let's get down to business. Imagine you're standing in your kitchen, holding a root that can become your personal health elixir. We'll talk about how to properly select and prepare ginger so as not to lose a single drop of its power. And then I'll share a recipe that turns it into a true therapeutic bomb. This is not just a drink, but a tool for daily recovery that will help strengthen immunity, improve digestion, and even take control of those minor ailments like slight incontinence or joint pain that we discussed earlier. And remember, all this is done at home, without pharmacy shelves and unnecessary expenses. Just you, water, and this root. Let's start at the very beginning, selecting and preparing ginger. After all, the potency of your homemade remedy depends on this. Look for fresh root in the store or at the market. It should be firm, as if just dug from the ground, with smooth skin, free of cracks or soft spots. If the root is shriveled or yields to the touch, it means it has already lost moisture and some of its beneficial properties, so it's best to pass it by. And if you see mold, put it aside immediately. It's not only useless but also harmful. In Russia, especially during the season, fresh ginger is easy to find at markets like Danilovsky or in supermarkets. Opt for organic if possible to avoid pesticides. Now, for the comparison, fresh root versus dried powder. Ginger powder, the kind you see in the spice aisle, is convenient for quick additions to meals, but during the drying process, gingerols, those key compounds, partially convert into shogols. Shogols are also good. They enhance the anti-inflammatory effect and help with nausea, for instance. But fresh ginger offers a more complete spectrum of benefits. It retains a balance that works best for digestion, blood flow, and even microbiome support, as we discussed. Use the powder as a backup option, say 1 to 2 teaspoons in a smoothie, but for a significant impact, fresh is your primary choice. I always opt for fresh in my tea because I can feel the difference. It delivers that distinct, spicy, warming flavor that immediately invigorates and kickstarts bodily processes. Preparation is simple, but it's important to do it with care so you don't miss anything. If the root is young and thin-skinned, especially organic, you can leave the peel on. It's also packed with antioxidants that protect against oxidative stress. Just rinse it thoroughly under running water and scrub with a brush to remove any dirt. For more mature roots with thick, fibrous skin, it's best to peel it thinly with a knife or a peeler. This way, you'll avoid bitterness and focus on the flesh, where the concentration of gingerols is maximized. And now for the key step, grating. Don't chop it coarsely with a knife. This won't allow for the full extraction of active compounds. It's best to grate it finely, right before use. You'll get a juicy pulp that will easily release all its secrets into the water. Imagine, these microparticles of gingerols immediately start working like mini enzymes, stimulating enzymes in your stomach and relaxing muscles. We move on to the second step. This is the heart of it all, the master recipe for therapeutic ginger tea. Forget simple steeping like with tea bags. Here we make a true decoction to extract the maximum from the root. This is a method that was used in ancient Ayurvedic medicine and the Chinese tradition, and it's perfect for us because it enhances the bioavailability of gingerols, making them many times more effective for reducing inflammation and improving blood flow. The proportions are simple but precise. Take 2 to 3 centimeters of fresh root, that's about a thumb-sized piece. Grate it to get a tablespoon of pulp. For 1 liter of water, that's a volume that will last you a day or two, depending on your needs. Then it's all by the book. Place the grated ginger in a small saucepan or pot. Pour in cold, filtered water. Cold, so that the compounds are not destroyed by sudden heating. Place it over medium heat and bring to a boil slowly, stirring occasionally to feel how the aroma begins to spread through the kitchen. As soon as the water boils and the first bubbles appear, immediately reduce the heat to the lowest setting. This is important to avoid overheating and preserve the fragile antioxidants. Cover with a lid and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. Do not boil vigorously like soup. Gentle simmering allows gingerols and essential oils to evenly transfer into the water, creating a concentrate that will then work for hours in your body. During this time, you will feel the air fill with a warm, spicy scent that in itself is relaxing and conducive to healing. When the time is up, remove from heat. Let it cool slightly, and your decoction is ready. You can strain it through a sieve if you prefer a clear drink, or leave the pieces for extra flavor. This tea will not only relieve bloating or bladder tension, but will also become your daily ritual, like a cup of coffee in the morning, only beneficial for your entire body. After the decoction has simmered over low heat, simply turn off the stove and let it steep, covered, for another 10 to 15 minutes. This time will allow all the beneficial substances to fully develop and infuse the liquid, making the drink even richer and more effective. Now, let's move on to straining. Carefully strain the decoction through a fine sieve or cheesecloth to separate the solid particles of grated ginger. You will get a clean, fragrant liter of golden infusion. This is your daily portion, full of energy and freshness. Store it in the refrigerator, preferably in a simple glass jar with a tight lid, and it will retain all its properties for up to 48 hours. The main thing is not to forget to warm small portions before drinking, so as to consume it warm in small sips between meals. This approach will help the body gradually absorb gingerols, supporting digestion and immunity throughout the day without sharp fluctuations. And now let's move on to the next step, the morning shot, which will be a true launch for your body, like caffeine for the brain, only healthier and more natural. It's a quick ritual to boost metabolism and provide an anti-inflammatory impulse right from the morning. The recipe is simple and takes only a few minutes. Take the juice of half a fresh lemon, add a centimeter of grated ginger, about 1 teaspoon of pulp, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, a pinch of freshly ground black pepper, and a teaspoon of honey. Pour a glass of warm water, about 200 milliliters, over everything and stir thoroughly until smooth. Drink it on an empty stomach immediately after waking up, while your stomach is empty. This will enhance the absorption of substances and give a powerful start. Lemon will cleanse, ginger will boost blood circulation, turmeric with pepper will create a synergy against inflammation, and honey will soften the taste. Imagine how this shot awakens every cell, dispelling drowsiness and setting the body for a productive day, especially if you feel slight fatigue or the onset of a cold. Next, it's important to figure out the dosage and overall protocol so that everything works like clockwork without overload. For a therapeutic effect, aim for 1 to 2 grams of pure ginger per day. This is equivalent to 2 to 3 centimeters of fresh root, depending on its thickness and freshness. Distribute it like this. Start with a morning shot and then add portions of therapeutic tea throughout the day, say 1 to 200 milliliters 2 to 3 times. But remember the rhythm. Ginger is invigorating and slightly diuretic, so don't drink large volumes of it closer to evening. It's best to have the last cup 3 to 4 hours before bed to avoid disrupting sleep. Otherwise, you risk spending the night pondering tomorrow's tasks. This schedule will help you consistently maintain energy levels, improve digestion, and even alleviate minor aches, as if ginger is quietly working for you from the inside, day after day. Certainly, ginger is a potent remedy, but like any active substance, it requires caution, especially if you have chronic conditions. If you are taking blood-thinning medications such as warfarin, Xarelto, or aspirin, ginger can enhance their effect, increasing the risk of bleeding, so be sure to consult your doctor before starting. With gallstones, be particularly careful. Ginger strongly stimulates bile secretion, and this can dislodge stones, causing unpleasant complications. Start with tiny doses and monitor your well-being. The same applies to acute gastritis or stomach ulcers. Its pungent taste can sometimes irritate the mucous membrane, so if there is discomfort, it is better to refrain or dilute it more. The story with hypertension is twofold. Ginger generally strengthens blood vessels and helps the heart, but in some people, it temporarily raises blood pressure due to stimulation. Always start with small portions, measure your blood pressure for a couple of days, and adjust. And one more point, if you are planning surgery, stop consuming ginger 2 weeks before it to avoid affecting blood clotting. In general, listen to your body. This is the key to ensuring the benefits outweigh any risks. To allow ginger to reach its full potential, integrate it into a holistic approach to health, where everything works in synergy, like a team in a well-oiled machine. Start with your diet. Combine ginger drinks with anti-inflammatory foods. Add fatty fish like salmon, nuts, greens, and berries to your diet to enhance the antioxidant effect and combat chronic inflammation that steals energy. Movement also plays a key role here. Regular walks or yoga improve blood flow, helping gingerols circulate better throughout the body. Pelvic floor exercises are particularly beneficial if you are into fitness. They combine well with ginger, enhancing support for blood vessels and digestion. Imagine, you drink your morning shot and then go for a light jog. This is not just a routine, but a real boost for the entire body, where ginger's biochemistry plus physical activity yield maximum results, helping you feel more energetic, lighter, and more confident with every step. In conclusion, we began this conversation with the promise that ginger cures almost everything, and now it's clear how much this is not an exaggeration. From a simple kitchen spice, it transforms into a powerful medicine accessible to everyone. With these recipes and tips, you can easily incorporate it into your daily life, feeling how it quietly fights inflammation, boosts metabolism, and strengthens immunity. Try it yourself and see how small changes lead to big shifts in well-being, making life brighter and healthier. And so we come to what science confirms. This is not an exaggeration at all, but a reality supported by research. Ginger does not fight individual ailments like some miracle cure, but works at a deep level, restoring key mechanisms in our body. Imagine, it effectively suppresses chronic inflammation, which underlies arthritis with its agonizing joint pain, cardiovascular diseases where inflammation damages blood vessels, and even bladder problems when irritation causes discomfort. The active substances in ginger, such as gingerols, suppress these inflammatory processes, as if extinguishing a smoldering fire, preventing it from erupting into a full-blown blaze. Moreover, it noticeably improves blood flow, dispelling stagnation and supplying every cell of the body with fresh oxygen and nutrients. It's as if you opened all the floodgates in a river. Blood flows more freely, muscles and organs come to life, and you feel a surge of energy even on a cold day. And digestion? Ginger brings it into harmony, stimulating enzyme production and relieving spasms, which directly strengthens immunity. After all, a healthy digestive system is the first barrier against infections. No more heaviness after meals, bloating, or nausea. Instead, lightness and confidence come with every step. This is precisely why the proper use of ginger, which we discussed, goes beyond simple recipes. It's a real shift in thinking. Stop seeing it as just a spice for pillar for tea and start treating it as a powerful daily ally for health that can be effortlessly integrated into your routine. I sincerely urge you, add this ancient root to your everyday life, but always with wisdom, considering all the precautions we mentioned earlier, dosages, contraindications, and consulting a doctor if you have chronic problems. Start simple, with that morning shot we discussed, or with a mug of warm tea before bed. Pay attention to your body's signals. It will tell you what works best. You'll feel a pleasant warmth spread inside, energy will surge, and discomfort will recede, making way for calm and vitality. This isn't magic, but the body's natural response to support. Share this video with friends and loved ones. After all, such simple, time-tested knowledge should be available to everyone striving for better well-being. And in the comments, tell us how exactly you incorporate ginger into your day, perhaps in smoothies, soups, or even baked goods. Your stories will inspire others. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Your attention means a lot. I wish you days without pain, filled with vitality and robust health for years to come.